Welcome to the world of vintage guitars. Today we have a very special guest. Jürgen is here from a band in Germany which was called, or is still called, Clowns and Helden. In English it would be Clowns and Heroes.
Yes.
Yeah, and Jürgen is one of the guys that, still is professional gigging musician, but he was the witness when the whole Charvel story started here in Germany. And we are here, of course, at #1 Guitar Center. And there is a nice little story that you can tell us how the whole thing started. I heard that there was some American bands being on tour. And what happened?
That was the band Dokken. Nobody knows it at that time. They started in a little club. It was a discotheque from Michael Boyens, started in Hamburg on a discotheque that called Sounds. They played there. Nobody knows what it was, but it was something like a secret tip, as we say in German.
Yeah, sure. Geheimtipp.
Yeah, Geheimtipp. And we were there and looked at the wonderful, beautiful guitars with all colored red and bunt.
Yeah, colorful.
Colorful.
So these, to you, the guitars were different from the standard guitars we had here in Germany.
Yeah.
So we all know Stratocasters because this have been around for ages, but these fresh colors.
Yes.
And we know, this was kind of the new trend coming from the US.
Yeah.
And
some news goes around that comes together with the upcoming Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah,
he was involved in this new era from the guitars. But this was a very unknown guitarist, George Lynch.
Lynch was the guitar.
Nobody knows it at that time.
Yeah.
He comes direct from the army, very short hair at that time, and he plays like hell.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah. Everybody knows exactly in 2 seconds. He was a great player.
This guy was not here; he was there.
Yeah.
Killer chops, and I think the whole transition of old school, what we would call classic rock today, into hair metal.
Yeah.
This was kind of the transition period in music, and it kind of resembles in the guitar with the different colors.
Exactly.
Yes. So, what happened at this discotheque when they played there?
They played there. They had some contacts with local heroes. For example, Udo Lindenberg.
Yeah.
They actually played a record. It was, I think the name is Keule, a pink colored. Udo Lindenberg told me that is the less sold.
Who
record,
cares?
but
it was
for me it was it's a standard. It's Pflicht. It's nice to have. It's not only nice to have. It's everybody must have this.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
At all they played in some clubs. We played as a supporting act with our band Pace at that time.
Yeah.
And after that, they have to move to travel back home to LA, and they hadn't the money.
Ah.
Yeah.
So what was the deal then?
Yeah. I don't know why or where, how it comes, but I figured out how to, I think I get the number from Michael Boyens.
Yeah.
And called them, and I visit them at the Mittagspause.
Lunch break.
Lunch break. At my lunch break at that time. And I visit them, and I offered them the deal to buy a guitar. That they can fly back
home. They had the money, you had a guitar.
Yes.
That's the deal.
Yeah, they had 2 guitars for 2,700 Deutschmarks at that time.
Yeah.
It was too much for me. I had only 2,000, and I bought one of them, the Star guitar. With much color, and it was the start. I think I was the first one. It was not in the series, it was pre-series model. It was the number 3 of the firm.
Oh, number 3?
It should be going to the tour of Golden Earring, but never happened because I bought it.
Okay. Fair enough for you. Yeah, so you ended up with kind of the first Charvel guitar in Germany.
For sure.
This is kind of
Yeah.
where it all started. And then Thomas Weilbier from Number One Guitar Center kind of got notice of the whole thing. And later he kind of started to have a business relationship with Wayne Charvel.
Yeah.
Um,
Thomas was the one who has the connection also with Michael Bowens, the owner of the discotheque.
Yeah.
And they meet together at the supporting gig. I met them all at the Number One. It was at that time in Talstraße near Reeperbahn.
Yeah.
The club was Club 88,
Yeah.
Club 88.
Yeah.
And we played there, they played there, very, very loud, and we connected. And that was the time that Thomas Weilbier thought that must be a business, and we started.
Okay.
That was the starting point for the business.
Yeah, and now we have to understand that Charvel, you know, this is kind of Fender Stratocaster original neck plate shape. But then at this factory in the USA, Grover Jackson was also in that company, and we all know Jackson guitars, which is kind of the pointy headstocks.
Yes.
And the way I look at the whole thing is this was kind of the transition from traditional guitars with the Charvels and the Jackson into the super strats and the modern guitars like Eddie Van Halen style. So this was kind of the birth of that new hyper genre of rock guitars.
Yes.
Next level.
Yes. We tried, everybody tried to work with this tremolo.
Yeah.
Vibrato.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what we, we figured out that it wasn't not stable enough for the tunes. And there was the reason that they found out that they have to make something different, and after that comes the Floyd Rose era.
They had a lot of inventions, you know, due to the fact that the music got wilder. In people like Van Halen, you know, had dive bombs, and you wanted to have more out of your guitar, and was the phase of experimenting. And in these guitars, we can see there's some Seymour Duncans. OBL, which is Bill Lawrence, original Bill Lawrence pickups. There's a lot of different experiments.
This was a kind of prototype.
Yeah.
I bought this here from Number One, from Thomas Weilbier, the neck and the body, and I put it together and made it here in Hamburg together. Was a guitar. This is not original from
the factory.
From the factory.
So it is using the parts. This is kind of a parts caster, a Charvel, neck and body. So what do we have here? This is like you know, a solid, nice neck, which is a bit wider and a bit more flat, so it suits the upcoming whatever tapping and. Not so vintage. It doesn't have the vintage radius anymore.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm just seeing this changes as what is new, you know. So, but from the looks, it's still, you know, a rosewood fingerboard with dot inlays, as we know it from the traditional Stratocaster. But the change is the neck shape. Yeah. Fender didn't have that neck shape in these days. So these guys came up with the speedier version, which is flatter, so you can bind the strings wider and all that stuff. And when we look at the body of this one, we can see different
scratches,
scratches, of course, buckle belt scratches, but we see a combination of like 3 different woods.
Yes.
This looks like mahogany, this is like maple, and this is some fretboard wood, probably. We don't know, but as you can see, they've done something different, because before that we have seen 2, 3 one-piece bodies, and this is kind of...
It's a kind of prototype. You can feel it. Here is some... it's not plain. It's not plain. The surface.
The paint job is a prototype, not too professionally done style.
But it was a kind of modern art at that time.
Yeah, sure.
We had a pickup we bought mostly a pickup that we liked, and we built a guitar.
Around the pickup.
Yes.
Yeah, because in those days, I think, it was about the hotter sounds. And, you know, this is what Eddie Van Halen did. He put a PAF in the Strats, basically.
Yes.
So
Frankenstein, yes.
the Frankenstein guitar, and yeah, and especially Bill Lawrence was very big in those days.
Yeah, they come from the countryside, from what they intended to be.
Yeah.
But the heavy metal fraction find out that there was some overtones. Very colorful.
Yeah.
That's what we liked
Yeah, sure.
at that time.
And I had the pleasure to meet Bill Lawrence when he was still alive.
Yeah.
Actually, the guy is a German. Bill Lawrence,
Yeah.
he comes from Cologne area, and he talks to me in German. Ja, mein Jung, ich erkläre dir mal, wie die pickups gewickelt sind in German.
Yes.
Being in America, he you know, and he has his full cowboy dress or Winnetou style. In those days he looked like a Winnetou to me, and he was a very scientific man, deeply interested in music, technical things, and he was a great jazz player as well.
Yeah.
So that was Bill Lawrence.
I met him too at the Frankfurt Fair.
Yeah, so I mean, he was all over the place, and he was one of the originals.
Yes.
Of
Yes.
back in the days. Well, very cool. So what else do we find on these guitars? We have Seymour Duncan pickups, Bill Lawrence pickups. A lot of brass was hip back in the days. So brass saddles, brass plates, brass everything.
Yeah.
Because
I decided to make switches for every pickup to get the tele sound, tele sound.
Yeah.
That was my decision. It's not what
everybody likes, but you wanted to go for that. Yeah. And what is the specialty on yours here? There's tons more switches. What is this about?
This is, you can switch the Roland, I don't know what the name is, synthesizer.
It's the synth pickup.
Yes, this is MIDI output here.
Yeah.
I never used it, to be honest, but I tried. At that time, we like to customize everything.
Yeah.
So this is the regular system for this, and so on. This is an original Bill Lawrence, L20 250, 250.
250, yeah.
I think it's very seldom.
I know the pickup. I don't know if it's rare or
it's a humbucker.
Yeah.
It's a single coil format. That's the reason. This is a checked pickup.
Yeah.
With two coils in it, but it's not a humbucker. It's only a second coil to get bigger outputs. That's a traditional Seymour
Duncan, but Fender style neck pickup. Well, of course, it makes sense to have a high output pickup in the bridge for the punch, and then less on the neck for more transparency.
Yeah. Will you try?
Yeah, let's try. Let's swap the guitars and see how this guitar sounds like. Okay, you tape this cable. I use this cable, and so wait a minute.
Good sound,
Yeah, very good sound. I have, a humbucker in a single coil format that not nasally. It is open. Yeah. It still has the tonal quality of a single coil, but it has also the punch of a humbucker. It's such a great combination. I think Bill Lawrence knew what he was doing.
Yeah, for sure. He was a master.
Yeah. And what is the specialty? We see here's a nice catalog of the custom shop at Charvel Guitars with the man himself on the workbench, and we see all these colorful guitars here. You know, back in the days we had everything needed to be yellow, to be super bright, to be catchy
And customized.
and customized.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know, with this almost looks like a Zakk Wylde today. You know, with all the circles, and then there's
Peter Hesslein from James Last is the owner of this one.
okay. So most of these, you know, most of these guitars, or is this?
Yeah, I've seen the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the flamed one is, I don't know where this is going.
Okay. Yeah. And what's the story about this paint job? Is this a paint job that you did, or is this just a?
It's only the flash. The yellow flash, this is done here in Hamburg by a friend of mine. And it comes with a bonbon color, as I say.
Bonbon color. Yeah. Okay. Candy. This would be like, yeah, a fruit gum candy color. Yeah. So this was the things back in the days, and I think for me the most important part in the history of guitar, so to speak, this is on the transition of traditional guitars that created the sound of rock up until the late 70s. And there was a transition into this new era of Van Halen, Glocken,
Rock, yes.
hair metal, the LA scene. And these were kind of the first messengers in a form of guitars coming from the LA scene to Germany, to Hamburg. And yeah, this is a part of history.
Yeah,
So, hey, Jürgen, thanks very much for joining in and
it was a pleasure.
and showing us your great guitars.
Thank you.
And yeah, this is the Charvel story with Jürgen.
Thank you.